Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a classic Buddhist discourse that asks a question that feels, well, surprisingly modern. What does it actually mean to live a spiritual life? Is it about the labels we give ourselves, or is it about the things we do?
You know, we all use these labels, or we know people who do. We call ourselves spiritual or mindful, or maybe even ascetic. But this ancient text, it forces us to take a hard look in the mirror. It asks, do our actions really, truly line up with the words we use? And it all kicks off with a pretty direct challenge.
So right from the get-go, the Buddha lays it on the line. He's basically saying, hey, if people are calling you an ascetic, if that's the claim you're making, you've got a responsibility. You have to actually do the things that make someone an ascetic. This isn't about looking the part. It's about making your inner reality match your outer identity.
Okay, so the very first part of this path is all about seeing that gap, the one between saying you're something and actually being that thing. It's a wake-up call to shake off any kind of complacency.
And this is the idea that just keeps coming back again and again through the whole text. It's this powerful warning against what you might call spiritual laziness. You know how it is? It's so easy to hit a certain point in your practice and think, all right, I'm good. I've made it. But the real path is always unfolding, always reminding you, don't settle. There's more to do.
So what is this more that we have to do? Well, the text lays it out beautifully, like a staircase. You start with the most basic, fundamental stuff, and then you build, step by step. And that journey, it starts inside. See, the path doesn't begin with some huge, dramatic gesture. It starts with two really crucial inner qualities. First, conscience. That's your moral compass, that sense of self-respect that keeps you from doing harm. And second, prudence, which is just a healthy fear of the consequences of doing wrong. Think of them as the internal guardrails for the whole journey. But just having them isn't enough. It's only the start.
And right when you think, okay, conscience and prudence, got it, the text hits you with this question. It's like a drumbeat throughout the discourse, always pushing you, never letting you get too comfortable on any single step.
So from that inner foundation, the practice moves outward. The next step is to clean up your actions, to make them, as the text says, clear and open. This means your physical actions, what you say, your thoughts, and even how you earn a living. Everything has to be in line with your ethics. And here's the kicker. You don't do this to pat yourself on the back or to look down on anyone else.
So your actions are pure, your livelihood is clean, you must be done now, right? Nope. The path asks again, what's next? And this is where the discipline starts to get even more specific, even more refined.
Now the focus zooms in on the very gateways of your experience, your senses. Guarding the senses isn't about becoming a robot. It's about not getting totally carried away by everything you see, hear, taste, and touch. And this discipline gets applied to the most basic things, like eating. It's no longer just about fun or flavor. It becomes a conscious act of fueling the body so it can continue on the path.
And just when you think you've reached the peak of discipline, the text pushes you one more time. With your outer behavior and your senses in check, the practice now has to fill every single moment of your life.
We're talking about total, 24/7 commitment now. Being dedicated to wakefulness means you're practicing day and night, clearing your mind. And situational awareness, that means being mindful in everything. Walking, standing, sitting, talking, even when you're silent. The goal is this constant, unbroken flow of pure awareness.
Okay, so after building this incredibly solid foundation of ethical conduct and moment-to-moment awareness, the path finally turns inward to face the biggest challenge yet, purifying the mind of what are called the 5 hindrances. And what's so brilliant here is how the text uses these powerful similes to make it all feel so real. Wanting things, covetousness, that's not just desire, it's a crushing debt. Ill will isn't just being mad, it's a disease that's making you sick. That sluggish, drowsy feeling, that's a prison. Restlessness and worry, that's a form of slavery. And crippling doubt, it's like being lost and terrified in the middle of a vast desert. These aren't just bad moods, they're forms of bondage.
So you can imagine, getting free from them isn't just a minor improvement. The text describes it as finally being free from debt, recovering from a long illness, being released from jail, and freed from slavery.
It's that feeling of finally reaching a safe place, a sanctuary, after a long and dangerous journey. And this freedom is what makes deep meditation even possible.
Once those hindrances are gone, the mind can access these profound states of bliss. The first one is described with this wild image. Imagine your entire body is just drenched and saturated with bliss, but it's so perfectly balanced and contained that it's like a ball of soap powder that's been mixed with water, but not a single drop oozes out.
In the second state, you don't even need to do anything to feel that bliss. It just bubbles up from inside, born from pure, steady concentration. It's like a deep, cool lake that's fed by its own underground spring. There's no part of it that isn't soaked through with that cool, refreshing water.
From there, that excitement settles down into a quieter, more subtle kind of happiness. And the image for this is a lotus that grows and blossoms and thrives completely underwater, without ever breaking the surface. It's a perfect picture of this deep, peaceful, mindful calm. And finally, in the fourth state, you go beyond both pleasure and pain into the state of pure, bright equanimity. And the image is just stunning. It's like you're sitting there, completely wrapped from head to toe in a perfectly clean white cloth. There isn't a single part of you that isn't touched by this radiant, pure mind.
So after this whole incredible journey, from basic ethics all the way through these deep states of meditation, the text brings us right back to where we started, with those labels. But now, they mean something completely different.
And here is the big payoff. A real ascetic isn't just someone who wears simple robes, it's someone who has assuaged or calmed down their inner corruption. A Brahmin is one who has banished it. A bathed initiate has literally bathed it all off. Every single title is redefined. It's not a social category you're born into. It's a description of an inner cleaning that you have successfully completed.
And that right there is the ultimate point of this entire path. It completely flips our idea of success on its head. Success isn't a title you claim for yourself. It's an active, ongoing, moment-to-moment process of inner purification that you live every single day.
Because when you boil it all down, all these steps, the conduct, the mindfulness, the clearing of hindrances, the meditation, they're all pointing to just one thing. That single, relentless goal of purifying the mind to find a freedom that cannot be shaken.
So this ancient map redefines spiritual success not by what you're called, but by the inner work you've actually accomplished. Which leaves us with a pretty big question for ourselves, doesn't it? When you think about your own life, what debts, what diseases, what prisons, what hindrances might be standing between you and your own place of sanctuary?